Hi, it's Kim, and welcome to the channel today. Thank you for stopping by. Today I thought you'd like to go along with me as I do a few garden chores around the house. My daughter noticed that we had hummingbirds flying around the backyard, searching out our hummingbird feeders, and I had forgotten to put them out. It's late April already, and I guess here in Ohio we're a little bit overdue. So I've gone ahead to get mine filled up. I started out trying to think that I could loop them up over that shepherd's hook, and I can't. I have to have my little hooks. But I mix my own hummingbird feeder food with four cups of water, a cup of sugar, no red food coloring. Now that'll make a quart, and that'll usually do. I've got 3 feeders right now. I don't have a huge amount of hummingbirds that are in here, but I can keep watch. They have been hovering around, my daughter said, these flowers, but also hovering around that shepherd's hook looking for the feeder. But I just completely had forgotten about getting them out. But at least now I'm all ready for them. Now, of course, I haven't seen a one since I have them hung up, but I'm ready for them if they'll just come. Now, I know a lot of you people show your videos of tons of hummingbirds out there, but I'm lucky if I have 2, 3, maybe 4. But hopefully that'll change this year. Now, I did put a couple of hummingbird feeders out front also. I hang those under this Japanese maple tree that's just outside the front door. Now these are smaller feeders, probably they only hold about 8 ounces, 10 ounces maybe, and I have a couple of these hung out here, and that way I can enjoy the hummingbirds outside my bedroom window. Now my next chore has to do with deadheading my blooming bulbs out here. Now for my bulbs in the hypertufa pots, and these are the only bulb growing flowers that I have right now. After they've bloomed, this one was full of daffodils and the grape hyacinth. Never saw any of the crocuses, don't really know what happened to them, but they didn't grow. But once they've spent and we're down to just this, I don't let it try to grow to seed. I want it to spend all of its energy putting the strength back into the bulb. So I deadhead and take off all these little spent blooms. It's real simple. Since I have so few, it's real simple to go through and cut those off. And that way you leave all that foliage growing as long as it does grow, and it'll just store up for next year's blossoms. Let's see if I can get all of them. There are just such a few of them. Now the grape hyacinths are still blooming pretty nicely. And I've got one other pot here. Let me get the other pot. Now this one has quite a few more of the daffodils blooming in it. And these are those small, I think it's called tete-a-tete daffodils. They're real tiny. And I can just deadhead those. And all of these bulbs will be storing next year's flower. Let me see, here's another one. And here's one more. I think that's everything. So, I think that's got them all. And I can mix up just a little bit of plant food, and these will be stored up for next year and should bloom really well. But what I am going to do is put one of my sedum in here so that it will grow over and provide a ground cover for these bulbs for next year. So I'm going to get some of those tops off here, because they'll need to be transplanted anyway, but they have really started to grow real nicely, and so I'll just poke a few of those into the top. I think this will make a nice addition to both of those, because you can see how well they multiply in some of these other ones that I have planted. So basically, all I need to do is just rough up the soil a little bit. And I'll just stick the tip down in there. And we'll have this spreading all over the place. And I've just directly pulled that loose. And I'll just lay those on the surface. They'll callus and dry out, and I will have a nice growth, I'm sure, of these all over this pot. If I see any bare spots, I can just put that in later, and I'll do the same for the other one. That's all we need to do for that. Well, this is my hypertufa planter that I need to repot. You can see how low it has shrunk down, the basic level of the pot. Let me see if I can get in a little close here. You can see how low that is. It's at least, what, 4 or 5 inches? A lot of dying plants. Well, plants that have disappeared and deteriorated down in there. But this video has gotten so long already, I'm going to have to do this in a second video. But that is the one that I'll be transplanting. And the good news is, I was forced to go shopping for some new plants. I did get my erodium, my beautiful erodium, and then a few little trees. This is a tiny little evergreen tree. That's only about maybe 10 inches. And then I got one of these also, real tiny. And that may or may not be for this container. I got 2 of the erodium and several of these little bushes. This one is a kind of heather, but we're going to pot those up, and if you see those in your shops, mine were $5.98. And I have had the lemon cypress before, and it does survive the winters. I had that 2 winters in the rock garden in Bellbrook. But let me just end this video, and we'll continue and talk more about that with the next video, because this one is really too long already. But we'll see you next video, and we'll plant my favorite little erodium.